Baseline gonna make man shut up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So glad you guys are here. Lots to talk about today. We're going to be inviting some folks on the show at some point. We'll get to it when we get to it. Yeah. So anyway, Georgia's got Kentucky coming up. Alabama gets knocked to fifth, only fifth somehow, which is totally weird. Plus, we're going to go over the top 10, top 25, whatever. We're also going to talk about some of the games coming up this weekend. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Trying to get the channel to 5K by the end of the year. That is doable, but may prove a little difficult, but I need you guys' help. And the easiest way that we can do that is if you guys will share the show. If you're watching this live, go ahead and share now. If you're not watching the show live, please go ahead and share anyway. It gives exposure to the channel. You guys are awesome. You guys have helped get the channel this far. We're just trying to get to 5K. Would greatly appreciate it. So big push from there. How about them dogs, Mr. Brad Pitt? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Here we have in the live chat today Nate the Great, Michael Porter, one of our resident members, also Between the Trenches, also another one of our resident members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Let's see. LSU fan says fire Edgeron, Jabron, Ring wrong, and go Tigers. Hashtag beat Florida, even though we will likely lose by a whole lot. At least not lying to yourself, sir. Tom Winfield, also never underestimate how poorly Florida can be. So don't. Hey, what's up, Rhino26? How you doing there, buddy? Glad you got to get into one of the live stream shows. You was in the last one. Last show was the one that he gave a super chat, and I totally missed it. So I see you right out of the gate now, sir. I got my eyes on you. All right, Sarah Crane, we love having you here, man. Please go ahead and share the show, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, New York Stock Exchange, wherever you feel comfortable. Much appreciated. All right, so we're going to give everybody a few more minutes here to jump on. Channel's been up for 7 or 8 minutes, and it typically takes about 10 minutes for people really to start trickling in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump over to ESPN.com. I'm going to pull up the top 25 so we can take a look at what's going on over there. Now, UMass beats UConn, in case you didn't know that. Hilarious if you ask me. We've also got a little bit of a couple of updates for the recruiting rankings. You know what? Let's do recruiting rankings first. Let's look at the 2022 college football recruiting rankings, where it says Texas surges past Georgia and Ohio State into the top 5. This was wrote apparently 2 days into the future. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this was wrote last month. 2 days ago will be a last month. So we can't use that. Let's go to 24/7 Sports, football recruiting. Apologize if you guys are leaving messages that I can't see because I'm on another screen. Okay, 2021. No, sir, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for 2022. Here we go. High school. No, I believe we want prep school. What is this? No, something is wildly askew. Give me a second here. I'm trying to find it. I have to look around my camera because I'm terrible. Team rankings. There we go. Georgia signed a new commit today, a 4-star prospect. Georgia is in the number 3, and I don't know if this accounts for that. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. This was a couple of hours ago. Georgia actually signed a 4-star commit. Georgia has 18 commits, 1 5-star, 11 4-stars, 6 3-stars, with an average ranking of 91.84. Highest average ranking on the list, behind second only to Alabama. Alabama currently carries the highest ranking because they have signed an additional 5-star that Georgia has not. Penn State, however, sitting pretty good in the number 2 spot with 14 4-stars. Still early on. A lot of stuff's going to change. A lot of these upper echelon teams are good at flipping players. We'll see what happens. Tons of guys have been visiting UGA. We will likely know more news about recruiting on some of these guys soon. But Alabama, which you expect to see up there. Georgia, you expect to see up there. Texas, though, holding hard at the number 4 spot with 15 4-stars. Hey, guys, Texas trying to come back in a big way. Clemson hanging around the number 12 spot. What are you doing? They have 2 5-stars. If they pick up a few more 4-stars, they'll jump up the ladder here pretty quick. Roughly only 6 points difference between Georgia and Alabama at this point, and only 2 between Penn State and Alabama, which is very surprising, at least to me. So, let's see, Sarah, they ought to give you a punch card, girl. All the surgery and stuff. Goodness gravy. You hang in there. We're gonna pray for you. But how about that? How about that new tight end, Brett? Which one are we talking about, sir? Are you talking about that guy that just signed today? I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is at all. Dilp, Mr. Dilp. Yeah, he's a dog. Let's see. Pastor Day says Bama got one of the top tight ends the other day. Yep, but tight end which is unusual because you really don't see him using any tight ends. At least I don't. But yeah, Keith Shelley, what's going on, sir? Welcome back to the show. Got some more stuff here. ESPN.com. What it is. All right, here we go. Rankings. I don't know why I wanted to say that like that, but it was fun. Okay, so I need an Alabama fan. I need an Alabama fan to explain to me why Alabama only fell 4 spots. They nearly lost to an average Florida team. They did put a working on Ole Miss, but that was partly Ole Miss's problem. And then they got beat by a terrible Texas A&M team. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's not good. It's not good. I would not say that Alabama is the 5th ranked team in the country. So yeah, appreciate that. Also, if you guys want to donate to the channel, I'm sure Trenches can find that PayPal link and put that up for you because I can't find it. I'm terrible with it. But yeah, if you guys want to support the channel, if you want to buy me a coffee, you want to help buy breakfast that we do on Saturdays, feel free to donate. Except Rhino, sir, you're all caught up. You're quite caught up. Even if I didn't see it at the time, you were quite caught up and much appreciated. Also, if you guys want to check out the merchandise store, we got there's a link in the description of most of my videos. You can go there and check out the merchandise store, get you a hat or hoodie or t-shirt, leggings or coffee cup or whatever. Get you one of them. Yeah. So yeah. Dang it's good. I agree, Brett. Well, of course you do. I'll tell you, Alabama's history is strong. Alabama's history is strong, but the year after LSU won the national championship, their history was strong too, and look how that worked out for them. Yeah. My guess is Alabama beating a ranked Florida, Ole Miss, and Miami is enough to keep them in the top 5. I can kind of understand that argument to a degree, but where is Miami ranked at now? Oh, yeah. They're not. What about Ole Miss? Where's Ole Miss ranked? Oh, yeah, 13. Where's Florida ranked at? Oh, yeah, 20. So, I mean, we're not talking about super powerhouse teams. And this only pushed Texas A&M up to 21. They were previously unranked, so you could say they were probably ranked 30th or something. But it only pushed them up to number 21. I realistically feel like they probably could have leapfrogged a couple of these teams because, I mean, goodness gravy. How can you knock off Alabama and only be ranked 21? That seems inaccurate to me. But yeah. So what's going on, Alex MLD, another one of our resident members, along with Pastor Dave, and appreciate it, sir. Anderson said in the press conference this week. What did he say? What's up, Freddie G? John McGraw, how you doing? Talking about Bama rankings. I don't know, man. It just seems really weird to me. I'm not saying Alabama is not the second best team in the country or the 4th or 5th or 85th team. I'm not saying where they should be ranked at. I'm just saying if you're the number 1 ranked team and you get beat by an unranked team at home. No, we wasn't at home. Where were they at? Were they? Yeah, they were. They were at the way station. But still, I mean, Alabama used to absolutely demolish teams like this. I've said this before. I'll say it now, and I'm not trying to upset. I'm not trying to upset you, Alabama fans. I'm really not. But if you look at years past and you look at the schedule, I mean, Alabama's pretty much allowing, at least 2 touchdowns every game, and 3 touchdowns and most of the other ones. So, I mean, if we look at the schedule from, let me go back to let's go back to last year, right? So last year, there were teams at the end of the season that couldn't score. Mississippi State couldn't score. Kentucky only scored 3 points. They held Auburn to 13. Arkansas could only score 3 points. Missouri only scored 19. I mean, but they were blowing folks out 40, 50, 60 points on the board. You're not seeing that this year. If you go back to 2019, the defense looked even better. There were several games where there was 10 points or less scored, and they were still putting up 40, 50, and 60 points on the board. Let's go back to 18. 40, 50, 60 points on the board. A couple of shutouts, 2 games where they only scored 7 points, a couple of 14-point games, and only 1 game where anybody scored more than 31. Somehow it was Arkansas. Let's go back to 17. So 17 and another elite defensive year, and still putting 40 and 50 points on the board. I look at this and I'm like, this Alabama team does not look like the Alabama teams that we're all used to seeing. Yeah, you're still, you're breaking the 40s on a couple of these, only 30 against Florida. Got 60 points against Southern Miss, but so what? To me, it just doesn't look like the same kind of dominance we're used to. Now, it could very well be they're going to blow the brakes off of everybody else that they run across, blow their doors off of them. But to this point, this just doesn't look like the kind of Alabama team I'm used to watching. So, yeah. If you're not the lead dog, the scenery never changes. That's not true. That's not true. If you get out of the race, the scenery changes entirely. Talking to you, Florida. You ain't in a race. Oh, anyway. How about them Braves? Yes, sir. Braves looking good. Really excited about them. Go Constitution. Says, Rebs fans here. Just found your channel from the Arkansas Ole Miss reaction video. Good content. Keep up the hard work. Your channel will be one of the bigger ones soon. I appreciate that, sir. I'm here to enjoy the atmosphere. We got a great community here. I really love the people that get on and watch this show and interact with me. It's great. It's great. So, yeah. Bama defense fell off some, but I don't think it will be very much with all the talent they are raking in. I agree. But Alabama's got a ton of talent right now. And I can't wait to hear all of the things about being a Georgia fan and being a homer and all this other stuff. Listen, guys, I've heard that for years. It doesn't faze me, and it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is inaccurate. At this particular time in the season, Georgia looks extremely dominant. Alabama looks competent, more competent than probably 95% of the teams out there. But if tomorrow you had to pit, let's just say Oklahoma against Alabama, who would you take? Who would you take? They proved they can get into a shootout and hold on. They've proved that they can grind it out like they did against Nebraska. And they proved that they can put some numbers on the board against Tulane. I mean, WCU. I'm just kidding. Alabama blew their doors off Oklahoma. Welcome to the SEC, boys. Man, listen. Yes, Iowa. Iowa should. You know what? I'm not going to say Iowa should be number 2. Here's what I would say. I think Cincinnati should be number 2. No, I'm just kidding. Iowa should be number 2. That's exactly where they should be. Alabama is definitely a top 10 team. How you iron that mess out, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, this is a weird year in college football. Cincinnati looks really, really good. I think Cincinnati would beat Oklahoma tomorrow. Their defense is stout. Their offense seems capable. They are playing against a bunch of nobodies, but they did play Notre Dame and beat them. And Notre Dame is supposedly, a top 15 ranked team. So I think Cincinnati's really solid. If you look at Iowa, man, this Iowa defense is for real, man. So Iowa is playing a lot like Georgia, where the sense of they're really not letting anybody score more than a couple of touchdowns. When you play people like that, I mean, they just beat a number 4 ranked Penn State. Granted, it was a close one, but it was a number 3 and number 4 ranked team, or number 4, number 5 ranked team. I can't remember, but super close. Didn't get out coached. They all played great. They really worked through it. So I think Iowa is definitely the second best in the land. I think Cincinnati is definitely the third best in the land. I would push Ohio State. Boy, Iowa can't even talk. Oklahoma, I would push them down. I might move Ohio State ahead of Alabama. I might move Penn State ahead of Alabama, put Alabama maybe 6. Michigan, I like what I see from Michigan, but I've been to this dance before, and I know how it ends. Not good. So until I see more out of Michigan, they're going to stay around that 8, 9, 10 spot. I think Michigan State could make an argument for being the number 6 position. Not Michigan State. Yeah, Michigan State, the Sparties. Kentucky, I think 8, 9, 10 is probably reasonable for them. And then the rest is a wash. You got Wake Forest over here is the only team in the ACC that is still undefeated. I don't know if Clemson and Wake Forest just swap players entirely, but that's what it seems like. Wake Forest seems to be playing their tail off, and Clemson doesn't know what's going on. Bench Young, first of all, never take advice from Ballard. Second of all, there's nothing wrong with Young. He's doing fine. It's just a young team. Brett, I have to say that if Clifford doesn't get hurt, I say that Penn State wins. As for Iowa, and yes, some people are going to call me crazy, I see Purdue beating Iowa on Saturday. You are crazy, sir. Not happening. I appreciate the perspective, but that ain't happening. So yeah, I mean, now here's the interesting thing. Here's the great thing. These numbers mean absolutely nothing. They mean nothing. These numbers are completely irrelevant right now. There is so much football left. It might as well be looking at week 1. Is it nice to be ranked number 1? Sure. But what does it mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And if you keep walking around, thinking, well, we were ranked number 1 in week 7 and that means something. No, it don't. It don't mean nothing. What means being ranked number 1 is if you're number 1 at the end of the season. That's when it means something. Bama Banker says, just keep your Georgia friends in your thoughts and prayers. If they don't win it this year with as dominant as they have looked and other teams being down, they should win it all. I agree. I completely agree. I was at the Arkansas game and thought I saw a Bearded Dog. I don't know if you saw Bearded Dog, but I was there. What's up, JC? UGA makes teams look down. I guess I could take that a couple of ways. If we go down and miss on this year, we are used to it, my guy. Unfortunately, that is an accurate statement. Big Dog Brewer, I can't see why anybody would blame Young on the loss. Offensive line has been horrible all year long, and receivers dropping doesn't help. And our only constant threat is Jamison Williams. Listen, that kid can run, man. What's up, Crimson Brave? I knew what you meant. Man. I was just giving you grief. Hard to believe that Clemson may be UGA's toughest game this year. You know what? I started to rebuke you for that, and then I thought about it, and I was like, man, we did struggle in that game. Like, we struggled. I don't know what that is, Trenches. Is that a chicken? It looks like a chicken. But it also looks like he's got 3 legs. Is that a tripod chicken? I mean, KFC would love to have them kind of chickens. Have to ask you, is Kentucky the real deal or is it just a fluke? This is the same Kentucky stuff we see about every 2 or 3 years. They had Benny Snell that one year, and they thought they was hot snot, ready to try it, and Georgia went up there and stomped the mud hole in them and walked it dry. this is what the neckbeards do. They get all excited. We're gonna beat Georgia. You ain't beat Georgia but twice in like the past 25 years. What are you talking about? Beat Georgia. You better go sit down before you hurt yourself. Been drinking too much of your own Kool-Aid. The air must be really thin up there. You sound like them Rocky Top folks, man. What are you doing? Meet us at Kroger Field. Good Lord. It's just, it just makes me scratch my head. All time and all the seasons, they've only beat Georgia 12 times. The record is 60-12. 60-12. It ain't even close. No. Georgia has an 11-game winning streak against Kentucky. And what all the past wins mean? Not a whole lot. But keep this in mind. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. 6 out of those 11 years, Mark Richt was the coach, and we still beat you. There's no comparison in this. You look at any of the stats on here, there's no comparison anywhere where Kentucky is anywhere near good as Georgia. 16 weeks at AP poll. Kentucky's never been ranked in AP. They've never had a Heisman winner. They've only had 13 All-Americans of all time. They've only been to 20 bowl games. Georgia's been to 57. They have 2 conference championships. Georgia has 14. They've only won about half of their bowl games. Georgia's won 33 to 21. They've only got 1 national championship of all time. They've only had 16 first-round picks in the NFL ever. They've only spent 94 weeks even in the AP poll. Georgia has been there 620 times. There's no comparison between these two teams. Impressions of Michigan State this year. I like Michigan State. Michigan State is a very durable team, but I think that what's going to happen is what happens to a lot of these teams. They're good every now and then, and they get to a big stage, and they don't have the experience of playing on the big stage, and they get beat by a team that does. What happened last time UGA played Oklahoma? Oh, well, you know what happened. Let's see here. LSU fan, appreciate the super chat, sure. He says, Ed Ogeron may get fired after Florida or Ole Miss. I don't see him surviving as coach against Bama. The team is clearly not responding to him anymore. Well, this really is a case of having a national championship handed to you by a player and a coach, and he wasn't the coach. You look at LSU football schedule this year. It's not what they want it to be. They're nowhere near where they should be. They lost to the Bruins in their opening game. They beat the McNeese Cowboys 34-7. They beat the Central Michigan Chippewas. I think that's the same summer camp that the Adams family went to. A struggle win over Mississippi State Bulldogs, a loss to Auburn, and a loss to Kentucky. Finna be a loss to Florida. Then it's going to be a loss to Ole Miss. Then it's going to be a loss to Alabama. Then it will likely be a loss to the to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And it might even be a loss to the Texas A&M. If they don't win the game, either a game against Florida, Ole Miss, or Arkansas, they will not go bowling. They will not make a bowl this year. And if they don't make a bowl, I can almost certainly guarantee you that they will fire Coach Edgerron. Trenches. Wheaties. Trenches. Alex MLD says, hey, what's up, Jordan Davis? Alex MLD says, BDB, do you remember in the preseason when all the other fan bases said our wide receiver core without Pickens wasn't good? Yes. But I will also tell you there is absolutely no Georgia fan, unless he has been watching way too much Harry Potter, that would have ever told you that freshman Lad McConkey would have been as good as he is. And if you don't like saying Lad McConkey, there's something wrong with you. That's a great name. That's a great name. Lad McConkey. Have a blessed one, everyone. Hit the like button and help Brett. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. LSU has dudes, no coaching. That is true. By two guys named Joe. That is also correct, sir. LSU is praying that Florida throws at least, I guess he means at least 3 shoes in that game. Yeah. Big Dog Brett. LSU can't even afford Coach O's buyout. No, Matt Corral will not win the Heisman. It's mainly a popularity contest, and if you can't carry your team to big wins, you're not going to win the contest. I know what some people are saying. I just know how it goes. Let's see. Coach Coach Orion's buyout. Ooh, what is it? Somebody tell me what it is. His buyout is about 70% of his remaining contract. That was posted in 20. This is posted in 2020. I don't even know how much he was getting paid. Let's see. In 2020, he's expected to make more than a 6-year, $42 million contract extension after delivering a ring last year. So that means he would get 6 years. He would get $7 million a year. So the 2021 season, so it's $7 million. Let's not even do that. Let's just say he's got 6 years left. If they wait the end of the year, that would be somewhere around $36 million. 7% of $36 million would be 70% of $36 million would be around 25 million. So they'd have to pay him like $25 million to walk away. I can see them doing it because they would look at the ratings that they're losing from the TV contracts, and they're not getting primetime shows. They're not playing in big games. Nobody expects them to win. I could see them paying that. That's really, while it seems like a lot, that's not a lot. I mean, if you want to see how much a lot is, call Tennessee and see how much they're still paying out. Call Auburn and see how much they're still paying out. And call South Carolina, see how much they're still paying out. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Florida's still paying out too on somebody. Yeah. Let's see. Just hoping we don't run the entire game. That's how we lost 4 starters on defense last season, playing Kentucky like that. Plus, Luther is going to be in the stands. Yes, I would also vote for Davis for Heisman. But no, I don't want to run the ball the whole game. Does anybody know? And I haven't checked, and I'm going to check right now. Before I even ask you guys. It sounds like I'm typing like really slow, but I'm not. I'm basically typing like 500 things by having to back up and retype the same word 500 times. Georgia quarterback JT Daniel has missed 2 consecutive starts due to a lat muscle strain. Despite being undefeated number 1 ranked college football, Georgia made it through the early portion of the season unfazed. But the injury report, blah, 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 danger place for the minute. We're trying to get JT back. He's much through last week. I'm not even going to read the rest of this, but I guarantee he's going to say it's like day to day or something. We don't know. Watch. For the game, he was able to throw a lot more than he was last week. He's going to throw again today, even though today will be a much lighter day than even our normal Mondays are. But we will look and see how he is and where he is, but I'm not getting into that. So, in other words, he's not playing. He is not playing. That's what I would take that to mean. If Kirby Smart says we're trying to get him back, he's not playing. For Georgia, let's see. For the Sacred Grove, what's up? What's up, K Dog? What's up, Oakley Farmer? What do y'all think about the new commitment UGA got today? Love it. Yes. So every player, if they focus, will get better with more practice and experience. If players are partying and not focused, they can get worse typically. I agree. Yes, it was. That is also true, Crimson Brave. For Kentucky to shock the world Saturday, they would have to do. What would they have to do? Okay, sorry, I can't read. What would they have to do to beat Georgia? And what is some of Georgia's weak points this year? What's the difference with Bennett from this year and last year? Okay, a lot to break down in that, but here we go. I'm going to put this up on the screen so I don't forget everything he said. Michael Hogue wants to know, for Kentucky to shock Georgia, what would they have to do to beat Georgia? You have to be able to run the ball. If you cannot run the ball, Georgia's going to make you one-dimensional. Georgia's only allowing teams about 74% of their passing game right now, so that's going to severely hinder them. If you cut your offense in half, so you basically essentially have no run game you can depend on, and then you only get 74% of half, you're only getting about 30% of your offense. So if you're getting about 30% of your offense and you're averaging 40 points a game, that's going to put you around 10 to 14 points. 10 to 14 points ain't going to beat Georgia. Oh, Keith Carter snuck in here. What's up, buddy? Welcome back to the channel. I hope your situation was pleasant. What is some of Georgia's weak points this year? Now, we really thought Georgia's secondary was going to be the weak point. In my opinion, there's still a bit of a weak point there in the secondary. If you're going to beat Georgia, you're going to have to expose them. What's up, James Willoughby? And that's going to be tough. Georgia's defense is not giving passers time to throw the ball. I've seen some quick strikes work effectively against Georgia, but the problem is that as you start venturing later in the game, a lot of these receivers and tight ends are getting popped, trying to come across that middle to pick up those quick over the middle passes, and they get a little skittish. They're dropping passes, they're dropping balls, so you can't really be depended on. And these explosive plays downfield, they're not going to be there enough to put together a consistent offense. You may get a few big plays here and there, but we've had teams that averaged 30 points a game that are walking away with zeros. So it's going to be very, very difficult. And what is the difference between Bennett from this year and last year? I'm not exactly sure how you would categorize it. He seems to be a little more poised in the pocket. He's not making throws as kind of, for lack of a better way to say it, as willy-nilly as he did previously. But it seems to be just overall experience. He seems to be playing much more better. Good night. Told you I couldn't read. Didn't know I couldn't speak. He seems to be using a offensive play scheme that benefits him, where they're allowing him to run when he can run. There's been several times whenever Georgia has faked a handoff to a quality running back and the defense has bid on it, and the next thing you know, Stetson Bennett's going running down the field. It's not a part of the Georgia offense that is talked about very much. It is something that has absolutely been an instrument of success for Georgia, but nobody talks about it. A lot of Georgia fans, myself included, have been pretty critical of Stetson, especially whenever we saw JT Daniels come in and just absolutely ball out. Seeing that kind of thing is just Stetson Bennett is really good, but you have to keep in mind, and again, I'm trying to temper what I'm saying. Stetson Bennett came in last year, and first several games, man, he looked really good. And then he had a game where he just completely fell apart, and you're like, oh, no, that's the old Stetson. I've seen that guy. No, we don't want that. And then JT Daniels comes in, and the game just goes, and you're like, yeah, we want that guy. And then JT Daniels goes out and has a season where he's throwing 400 yards in a game, 395 yards in a game, and everybody's like, that's what we need. That's what we want. That's what we need. And then you get that, and then all of a sudden, Stetson Bennett comes back. So your last memory of Stetson Bennett was essentially getting yanked out of a game, and JT Daniels came in to save us. So there's that optic you got to overcome. So far, he's done great for a backup walk-on quarterback at one point. You can't really knock the guy. Now, is JT Daniels better? Yes, in my opinion, JT Daniels is better. Does Stetson Bennett add more to the offense as far as being a running quarterback? Well, of course, he has great wheels. The guy can run. So it adds a new wrinkle and a new fold. But to say that one is better than the other, if you had to give me both guys at full capacity, at full health, I'm going to take JT Daniels. Stroud was the third odd best at a Heisman. Now Clemson, I like it. True, either a big run or not much. Best odds. Sport experts, I think Bryce still. Geez, Clemson, he was being negative. The sports expert, how you doing, sir? Ma'am, person, yeah, welcome. What's up, Zuki? All right, so we've made it about 35, 36 minutes in here. I'm going to go ahead and throw out the link now. If you guys want to hit the PayPal link, maybe Trenches is still around. He can repost it. If not, yeah. So let me go over here and jump in. Let's look at the schedule. Oh, I know it's early on, but one of the things I do want to mention. Wow. One of the two things I do want to mention is Georgia has been playing banged up all year, and now Kentucky's playing banged up. Apparently, they've got two of their starters on defense. A defensive tackle and a defensive lineman are both going to be out of the game. One of them's a nose tackle and is pretty integral part of their defense. He's out, lower leg injury, I believe. They have another guy out, and then one of their wide receivers, I think their second best wide receiver, is also out of the game. That's going to prove to be pretty detrimental. Here we go. I'm going to add Keith Shelley. What's going on, Keith?
Good to have you again, big dog.
We're going to add in college football is crazy this year. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Chief, it's Michael. How you doing?
Doing great,
Hey,
brother.
Michael.
Hey, guys, how you doing? Hey, Brent, one thing I was going to ask you. I don't know if you've seen Iowa this year, and thanks for your what you told me about Georgia Tech. I haven't got a chance to see much play this year. But my thing is with Iowa, if you don't commit no turnovers, as mediocre as your offense is, I think you got a real good chance of beating Iowa. And people fail to realize Brom's 3-1 against Iowa. And yeah, the Iowa playing, but if it wasn't for their defense, how good would Iowa really be this year?
Well, I mean, it'd be about as good as anybody else's offense or whose defense is playing terrible. Their defense has been really solid this year. They got some quality players there on the defense that has really turned the tide for them in some key points in some games. Those guys have stuck it out in some harsh conditions. I got a lot of respect for that Iowa team. I think they're going to go far. I'm pretty sure you're going to see them in the championship game, division championship game, and they might even get a spot in the college playoff if they continue to play well. It's going to be really difficult to keep them out.
But they're losing one of their key players this week too. Riley Moss is out with a leg injury, so
he is, but I don't know the best way to say this. What's the I can't even think about. I can't even remember the coach's head name right now.
Kirk Ferentz.
Yes. So that guy's been around forever. A lot of people have actually picked Purdue to beat Iowa, which I think is ridiculous. I think Purdue's got. I think their defense is a little underrated. I think this is going to be more of a defensive battle. But I think Iowa has a much better offense than what they're getting credit for. I mean, they certainly have the capability of scoring points, 30, 40 points a game.
Yeah.
They didn't do it last week. I mean, they put 23 points on Penn State, and Penn State was ranked number 4.
Yeah.
I don't think Purdue is going to be able to keep pace with that. I think that Iowa is going to beat them. I think they're going to beat them by maybe 10 points.
Missing Horvath is huge for Purdue.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But I will say this, though. Ironically, I think whoever wins the game Saturday is going to be in the driver's seat for the Big Ten West.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's Iowa's to lose. I think if Iowa goes out and plays great or has a bad game or whatever, that's really going to be the determining factor. I don't think Purdue is the factor here. I think it's Iowa. I think if they go out there and they want to play, is it possible this is a trap game for them? Possibly, but I think that even if they get punched in the mouth early on, they're going to get in there and get fired up, and they're going to be able to win that game.
Yeah, because the crowd's going to be huge. I'm kidding, but how crazy is the Big Ten East right now?
I guess the best way I could explain that is just a soup of what the you know what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of those teams are really, doing it what they should be doing to get that thing filtered out. It's almost like it's self-cannibalizing at some point. You got teams like Texas that are going out there and scoring 70 points in one game and then only 32 in another. It's strange.
Is Kentucky, in your opinion, even if I picked them to lose, they go 11-1, do you see them in the New Year's Six or maybe into college football playoff this year? If things being as crazy as they are?
No, they won't make the college football playoff. Because here's really the litmus test, right? Is that if you're Alabama or you're Georgia, those are the two teams that are going to get looked at this year in the East and West.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Alabama has one loss, Alabama is going to run the table. Nick Saban will get it fixed. He may not turn it into the dominant team they had last year, but he'll turn it around enough that he'll end up in the SEC championship. And more likely than not, Georgia will be there. So Alabama's already got a loss. So look at it this way. Alabama's got a loss. They go to the SEC championship. They beat Georgia. They're in. Does anybody disagree with that? No.
Mm-mm.
Georgia goes to the SEC championship. They lose one game to Alabama, who already has one loss. You have a one-loss SEC championship, and you have a one-loss previously ranked number one team, and Georgia would be number one ranked going into that game.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama would likely have that point moved up to 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah. But do you see Kentucky being in a New Year's Six bowl maybe if they go 11-1?
They could get into a New Year's Six bowl. I don't have a problem with that. I just really don't. I think it'd be incredibly difficult for them to get into to put 3 SEC schools into the college football playoff would be ridiculous.
I'm thinking it's going to be 2 and 2, 2 from the Big Ten and 2 from the SEC this year.
That's possible. I don't see anything coming out of the ACC that would lend any type of credibility. Hey, what's up, Zero Cool? Thanks for the super chat. He says, why did O.J. Simpson want to move to Kentucky? Everyone has the same DNA. Go Dogs. I don't know how that works out, sir, but I appreciate the super chat. Now, to answer your question, if I had to pick a team, if I had to pick teams right now, who would I pick? If every team on the schedule, unless they play each other, ran the table, you would see Georgia, you would see Iowa, you would see Cincinnati, and then you would probably see Alabama. That's probably what you would see. I don't really see a way that would change based on the rest of the season through these teams, unless they have a couple of losses. Oklahoma, you can't look at that team and say that's a dominant team. You can look at Iowa and say dominant. You can look at Cincinnati and go dominant. They haven't really played a whole lot of people, but they're dominant. Right, you can say the same thing about Ohio State, even though they're a 5-1 team. That loss to Oregon, which was not. It was a one-score game. Oregon still ranked in the top 10, so you can't really say that was a bad loss. Granted, they did lose to Stanford, but that was a one-score game as well. So are those two? Are you counting both of those as fluke games? Maybe. But to me, I would take Georgia, Iowa, Cincinnati, and Alabama in the SEC playoffs. In the national playoffs. That's what I would take.
Mm-hmm.
Nate the Great with the camera angle. This is how his dog sees him.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Nate?
Not much. Just chilling. That's all.
Hey, Nate, how you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Nate, any broken walls lately from hockey pucks?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that today. I actually did some a little bit, but that's all. But sorry to interrupt your conversation.
No, you're good, man.
I'm still not buying. How to say it? I know Michigan's 6-0, and I'm still not buying into when it's time for the game, because I still not buying it yet. But I can accept the 6-0 part. So, we see in the past we've seen in the past where Harbaugh goes like 6-0 in the regular season and ends up losing 3 games or 2. And I mean, I think they're first in the Big Ten East. I think right now.
So what we're going to start seeing here in the next couple of weeks is that you're going to start seeing teams that routinely started to get banged up and dinged up by this point in the season, and you start losing some of your quality players. And so this is where the depth chart really starts to come into play. Well,
Right.
Georgia has kind of done this just about as backward as you can do it. Georgia started out and has been playing banged up, and we're starting to get players back week 6, 7, and 8. So Georgia's only going to get stronger as we move forward. There's the other teams out there are doing it the other way around, just because that's normal for college football. Most teams start out with a few injuries. Georgia started out with like 20. So starting quarterback out, WR1 out. Two of our offensive line starters out. Brand new, a lot of brand new players on defense. A lot of brand new players on offense. So, by this point in the season, the brand new players are starting to get settled, and they're starting to get kind of into a rhythm and catching on to the speed of college football. And the guys that are injured are starting to come back. So the teams are gaining momentum at this point. And I think Georgia's defense is so incredibly good that it's giving our offensive players a lot more reps, because when the defense goes out there and the opponent goes 3 and out, and then the offense is right back on the field. So Georgia just cycles through players. You've noticed the past couple of weeks, Georgia has taken one running back, and they put him in for 2 or 3 downs until he picks up a first down, and then they'll swap out with another running back and let him do it. Then they'll swap out with another running back and let him do it. So there's a lot of offensive players that are getting a lot of reps and a lot of play time, which is great, especially for next year. But the defense is not out there a whole lot, which is good because it keeps them from getting banged up. So the harder and faster you can play that defense, the better you are, the more momentum you're going to get, and the stronger you're going to roll into the second half of the season.
Now,
Couple that with the fact that other teams are getting injured and starting to lose momentum, it just gets even worse. Georgia will look more and more dominant.
hey,
I
go ahead.
Thanks, Nate. I think one of the big contributing factors for Georgia's offense being so good is that they're having to line up day in, day out at practice against the number 1 defense in the nation. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's absolutely true. Chad Brewster is trying to troll, but he's failing miserably. Georgia is looking at if you have to play against Michael Jordan every day, you're naturally going to get better. You're still going to lose, but you're naturally going to get better. So when you go out there and you play against a guy that's nowhere good as Michael Jordan, you're going to be able to do a lot better than you normally would have. So when I see Georgia, with that comment getting thrown around, that's one of the things. By the way, that's one of the things that Alabama recruits with. I'm gonna mute you there, Nate. Your mic went crazy. That's one of the things that Alabama recruits with, is that they tell these new players, like, look, if you want to be the greatest you're ever going to be, you have to play against the best, and we have those on the roster. You might get to play the best in the country one time a season if you're playing against Alabama, but if you're playing at Alabama, you'll get to play against the best 4 times a week, every week. And so that's a great recruiting angle. Georgia's doing that right now. One of the other channels that I watch had made a comment talking about the reason that Alabama defense is sliding and Georgia's defense is improving is because you're seeing the repercussions of Kirby Smart leaving Alabama. So,
Yeah.
Your Georgia and have your Georgia, not you are Georgia, your Georgia, and you have a 5'5" QB. Pathetic. Chad, you got to work on your pronunciation. I'm from Georgia, but even that's hard for me to read. Gets hurt more than Tua. Well, it's supposed to. He meant to say Tabaga Baga 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 because he's been watching Uncle Lou, but what he typed out was Tabaga Ga 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 Ga. Oh,
I mean, unless he tried.
he tried. That's what we hear most teams say this season. If Georgia wasn't in your head living rent free, you wouldn't be over here saying those things. So the fact that you're worried about us, that's just proof. Well, the fact you make those statements means you're worried about us. So thank you. Appreciate the compliment.
Well, I was going to ask you, Brett, what during this season, current right now, college football, what top 5 defenses for teams would you rank? I mean, obviously Georgia number 1, but who's behind them?
In my personal humble opinion, I think that Iowa has a really strong defense. I think Arkansas has a really strong defense. I think Cincinnati has a pretty strong defense. What was the other team I was looking at the other day? Penn State has a pretty stout defense. Michigan, up until last week against Nebraska, I would have said had a really stout defense. I think Nebraska just came there to really play hard, and they did a great job.
Yeah.
We'll see how they do this week. But if Michigan can maintain that, 7 or 10 points, I would say them. A lot of people are saying that Arkansas has a pretty stout defense. They've only had a couple of games where anybody has scored more than 20, and nobody has scored more than 28.
Right.
I would argue to say they haven't played anybody with an offense, and I'm not going to say Florida has an offense because Florida doesn't know what it's doing. And that's not a slam against Florida because I dislike Florida. That's a slam against Florida because it's a factual statement.
Well, their coach doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's because he spends too much time online looking for new Darth Vader costumes. So you spend more time on your team, sir. Georgia's going to roll through the rest of the schedule.
Yep.
And it's not going to be pretty. Everybody is, if you're playing Georgia right now, right? So if you play Georgia this year, nobody had scored more than 13 points. Nobody. And the only reason that happened was a garbage touchdown. UGA got I think it was a pick 6, and Auburn got 1 touchdown. So there's only been, I think, 2 offensive touchdowns the whole season. Georgia's defense has scored more than that. So Georgia's defense has gotten, I think, 2 safeties and 2 returns for touchdown. One was a pick 6 in the Clemson game, and I think there was a block punt for a touchdown in the Arkansas game. So, I mean, if you just look at the board and you say, okay, Georgia struggled against Clemson, but then everything else has been a drubbing, right? So, I don't know. It really depends. Georgia's played 2 different quarterbacks. We've had 3 different rushers with a high rush this season, and we've had 4 different receivers that have had the game high in receptions. Ladd McConkey got 135 yards in receiving against Auburn. But if you go back to Georgia versus Vanderbilt, where we scored 62 points, our highest receiver was only 69 yards. If you go back to the Arkansas game, the highest receiver we had was 27 yards, and Kenny McIntyre's a running back. So this has really shown that Georgia can be extremely dynamic. They can flex to whichever way they need to play, and they'll get the job done. It just seems like the offense is firing on all cylinders, and it's not one-dimensional. It's not one-sided. Okay, so you go out and you stop the run against Georgia. Fine. Georgia doesn't need it. Georgia goes out and throws 300 yards in the game with JT Daniels. Oh, well, Georgia, they can't run the ball. Well, they got several players that are, running their heads off. We're basically cycling through running backs, and guys are still putting up 60, 70 yards a game per player.
Yeah. Nope.
No trenches.
Where'd he go?
You need to grow up, sir.
Why? I love Toys R Us kids.
There's a reason that store don't exist no more.
That's because I put him out of business.
That's what it is.
What's going on, Treaches?
How much, man? Just another day.
Another day, another dollar bill.
What's
All
going on,
right,
guys?
not much. I got actually, Brett. Which team gets upset that is undefeated this weekend? As crazy as it's been this year.
What team? You know what? I'm gonna let Trenches tackle that one.
Kentucky.
Do you think it'll be? I say Georgia wins by maybe 10 to 13, or do you think it'll be more than that?
They cover.
So let me see here. Who do I think is going to get upset? I'll tell you who I think is going to lose. I think you're going to see Texas beat Oklahoma State.
And for me, I see maybe even though Penix isn't playing for IU, I see IU maybe beating Michigan State.
I'm kind of big on the Sparties.
But they just can't give up 60-yard scoring plays either, like they did.
I agree. But I mean, if we take a look at IU, you go, you know what? They're 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
They have every ranked team they've played, they've lost.
Mm-hmm.
They barely beat WKU by 2 points.
Yeah,
and they did beat Idaho by a landslide, but I mean they could easily be 1-4 right here. Michigan's undefeated. Nobody has scored more than one team has scored more than 21 points, but they have scored more than 23 in every game they've played in. I just don't see Indiana having anything for them.
No, I must say Michigan. IU plays Michigan State Saturday down in Bloomington.
Yeah, I'm talking about Michigan State.
Oh, I thought you said Michigan, but no.
But I mean, well, sometimes like Georgia State, I would say Georgia. I mean, I know what you mean, but I should have enunciated.
Yeah, and I think when that linebacker for IU got tossed in the Cincinnati game, that changed the whole momentum of the game to Cincinnati's favor because IU was just doing whatever they was wanting against Cincinnati. But when that happened,
so I mean, I don't know. That's hard. That's so hard to guess. I do want to show you guys something though. So I was knocking around on the old TikTok. There's this guy, and I want to show him to y'all because this guy actually made me laugh. You can tell he's trying really hard to troll Georgia people. So I'm gonna see if I can show it to you guys.
I know who you talk about already.
Hold on, it's not.
Into a kennel with a big fat ass bulldog don't work out too well now, does it?
Hang on.
Is this the 41-year-old starving dog?
No, but I'd say a wildcat into a kennel with a big fat ass bulldog don't work out too well now, does it? Now, T-minus 3 more days till we.
This guy's he's just nonstop mouth. He just nonstop mouth. He got like an alfalfa hair hanging off his head. I'm like, I understand what you're trying to do. But it's like when you watch Will Ferrell go out there and make a fool out of himself, you get that he's making a fool out of himself on purpose. You get that. This guy's trying to make a fool out of himself and doesn't realize that he's actually making a fool out of himself. I wish guys like that would come on the show. But for some reason, every year, this is what I'll say. All right, so every year Georgia plays, pretty much the same opponents, and the stories are pretty similar, right? We'll play a South Carolina. There'll be a little bit of smack talk. Vanderbilt fans don't exist. Arkansas fans didn't exist until like part of the beginning of last year and then the beginning of this year. Auburn fans are always obnoxious, but they've kind of accepted the fact that they're never going to beat us. Florida fans are delusional. Something in the water, don't know what it is. Florida fans, they get all excited. They beat us one time out of like the past 5 years. They're all excited. They think this year they're going to do it again. Wrong. And Missouri fans don't exist. Tennessee fans, they know the boat they're in. They talk smack for 3 days and then it's over. Georgia Tech, we can't get their protractors away from long enough to get them to watch the game, so they're not a concern. But Kentucky fans, for some reason, man, these guys show up on YouTube and yelling and screaming and hollering, jumping up and down, and meet us at Kroger Field. And it's like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Georgia has beat the ever-living fire out of y'all for so long. I don't even know why y'all still have a football program. You jump out there and you act like you're going to just absolutely demolish somebody. And Kentucky fans are the worst about this. They will lose the game and then disappear. Like, you won't hear from them. They won't say good game. They won't say none of that stuff. They just disappear. They're like, what happened to Kentucky? I don't know. They gone. What do you mean they gone? I ain't seen them. You don't see no blue hats no more. You don't see nothing. See, last year they played the 2-2 game. They lost 2 games, won 2 games. Lost 2 games, won a game, lost 2 games, won a game. So you didn't really hear that much about them. But 2019, won 2 games, lost 3 games. Won a game, lost a game. Won a game, lost a game. All right. 18. They won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, played Texas A&M and lost. Won 2 more games, and then they rolled in to Sanford Stadium talking all this same smack. Georgia was ranked number 6. Guess what Kentucky walked out with? An L. And then it hurt them so bad they lost the following week, 24-7 to Tennessee. Listen, this ain't nothing new. 2017, win, 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 loss, win, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss. I mean, this is nothing new. But I mean, they can't win 6 games in a row. I can't remember the last time they won 6 games in a row. I can remember the last time they had 5 losses in a row, and that was 2015. Guess who losses was to Georgia? The year before that, they had 6 losses in a row. The year before that, they had 5 losses in a row in the middle of the season, a win, and then 4 more losses in a row. They were 2-8 that year.
You know what the sad thing about Kentucky is?
Everything,
including their basketball program that has been good, but it's kind of fallen off.
Watch this. You ready? If I told you that in 2012, Vanderbilt and Kentucky played each other. You ready? Vanderbilt beat them 42-0.
Why is it this weekend could be so big for the
This same year, they had 8 straight losses in a row. 8 straight losses. They won 0 games in conference.
Deal for Warby Parker glasses.
So, if it's at Kroger Field, Georgia has no chance at what? No chance at losing? You're probably right.
I'm pretty sure Georgia could beat them at Bob Stoops' backyard.
We got some new names in the chat, and I love it. Nick Chubb and Michelle are not walking through that door. They don't have to. I tell you what, Chad. If I was the head coach, Kirby Smart, I would let you pick out whichever 2 running backs you wanted me to get rid of, and then I would keep the rest, and I'd still whip you. Well, that's pretty much it for me. What you got, Trenches?
I just can't wait till Saturday. I'm just ready. Our boys need to beat up on these cats and then a well-deserved week off.
Listen, I don't know. The greatest secret in college football right now is how does Stoops keep his job at Kentucky?
Nobody else wants that job. That's like Darren Mason situation.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Somebody explain to me why the tickets for this game are $185 a piece. You know what the percentage matchup predictor is for Georgia versus Kentucky?
I think like 95.
I think it's like
95%. 95%.
all right, Trenches and Brett. I gotta ask you, just beating you guys die hard. Do you ever get nervous and scared that Bennett might resort back to him last year?
Do I get nervous that he will? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I scared of that happening? No, because I genuinely believe that with the quality and caliber of quarterback that we potentially have in Carson Beck, we would be fine. I also believe that Brock Vandergriff could carry the team if need be. With the stable of running backs we have and the elite wide receivers and tight ends we have, Georgia could bully most teams with no quarterback at all.
I agree. I think defensively alone, we could win the rest of our schedule.
Yeah. I mean, look at the very first game of the season where we essentially had no quarterback. JT Daniels was hurt, and Georgia still won that game. The defense won that game. So, yeah, I just think Georgia would be able to absolutely I think Georgia can win that game no matter who we put at the quarterback position. And I've been saying that all season long.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if Stetson Bennett rolls out there. It doesn't matter if JT Daniels rolls out there. But I will be quick to tell you, I would rather have a healthy JT Daniels than play an injured a healthy Stetson Bennett than play an injured JT Daniels and have him damaged for the bigger games down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
I want JT Daniels to get fully. I want him to get fully healed up and ready and well and rested and good to go and ready to play. And then when we get to the end of the season, I want JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett to hug and share that national championship together because it took both of them. That's what I want. Now, Stetson Bennett, it's a great story, and I'm not going to go through his story. Just do a little bit of digging and you'll find it. He's pretty much started enough games at Georgia at this point to have been a starter for an entire year. So I got a lot of respect for the kid. And I think that we've probably kind of given him a bad rap because we know what's sitting on the bench. It's not that he's a bad quarterback, and it's not that he makes mistakes. JT Daniels has made mistakes. The thing is that we all want the very, very best at the quarterback position because we know what that can lead to. With the Joe Burrows, the Trevor Lawrences, the Bryce Youngs, the Mac Jones, the Tuas, the Jalens, you look at all of the elite quarterbacks out there, and I can't name them all. Justin Fields, those guys carry their team. You don't remember much about the rest of the team. You might remember a receiver, you might remember a running back, but everybody remembers the quarterback because you can tell when their quarterback's off. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for me. Trenches, you got anything else you want to cover?
No, man. Just happy to be here.
I have one game that when y'all are talking about upsets,
Yeah, sure.
Ole Miss, Tennessee.
I got Tennessee in that game. I'm with you, Keith.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Tennessee in that game myself. And there's selfish reasons for that. I want every team we play to be ranked when we play them and then beat them. And then that way when we get to the end of the season, they go, well, who did you play? We played everybody.
But let's be real too, Brett. We want BVD right now to be able to beat his chest a little bit too.
Well, not too hard.
Not too hard, but let's give him something to enjoy.
So look at this. By the end of the year, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I got to get off, Georgia will have played Clemson, a ranked team. They will play Arkansas, a ranked team. Auburn is a ranked team. Kentucky as a ranked team. Florida as a ranked team. And potentially Tennessee as a ranked team. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Jeez, dude.
So overrated.
Now,
but
how many
who have
games
they played?
How many games do we play a year? How many games do we play a year?
12.
12. So if half of the teams you play are ranked, but you ain't play nobody, right? Okay.
But who they played?
Who
Big
had
Dog
that played?
Brett. Big Dog Brett,
Hey.
can you tell me who they played?
They ain't
Who
played
they
nobody.
played?
They ain't played nobody. The last thing I'll say is that I will forever remember this Georgia defense, even if it ends tomorrow, with what JT Daniels said after the Clemson game. It's like, I'm not worried about offense. If the defense can hold them to 3, we only have to score 4. And so far, that's been the case. And Georgia plays teams like UAB. Everybody plays teams like UAB, sir. Yeah. It will take everybody playing 150% to beat Georgia. It will take everybody playing at 150% to beat Georgia, and then Georgia playing at 50%. That's
so
what
many arguments in the chat comments right now. Good Lord.
That's okay.
Stop arguing with struggle win. I mean, Oklahoma. Stop it.
Struggle.
Let them be happy for a little bit.
Struggle Homa. I would agree with that, Sean. This Georgia defense is like past Georgia and Clemson defenses. I agree. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me tonight. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys have a great day. We'll catch y'all next time. New videos will be out soon. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. God bless.
It's nice meeting y'all.